Namaste and welcome to AiBee's World Suswasthya. For those of you who've been here before, welcome back, dear viewers. I know it's been a while since my last video, but here I am back again and raring to go. For those of you who've stumbled upon my channel for the very first time, Namaste and welcome. It is indeed such a pleasure to have you here on this platform with me. I'm Dr. AiBee and I make content on YouTube for women just like me, women in their late 40s and early 50s. And I talk about women's health issues and issues pertaining to their well-being. So if you are someone who is looking for information on women's health and well-being, information that is science-backed, medically validated, absolutely genuine, unbiased, unsponsored by any pharmaceutical brand or cosmetic company, information that is given clutter-free in easy-to-understand language, then you are absolutely at the correct place. Today, we talk about sunscreens. Now, to tell you the truth, till quite recently, I myself personally hated sunscreens. I found them to be tacky, chip-chippa as my husband says, and they left this weird white cast on the face that made one look like zombies. And most importantly, for all intents and purposes, at the end of all that effort, we were not really very sure that they did whatever we wanted them to do. That is, whether they were actually effective or not. Now, sunscreens are a necessity. Ladies, viewers, be warned that sunscreens, the necessity of using sunscreens is a fact that we cannot deny at all. The only thing is that most of us are unaware of how to choose a sunscreen. So today, let me tell you about the hows and whys of choosing a good sunscreen to use for ourselves. Chemicals that act as sun filters that are present in sunscreens are basically of two types. The first are the physical sunscreens and the second are the chemical sunscreens. Now, physical sunscreens basically act like a barrier over the skin and they deflect or reflect the sun's rays. What about chemical sunscreens? Now, these actually absorb the ultraviolet rays and convert them into energy before they can actually harm the skin. A single sunscreen product may contain one or more of these filters. So it may contain one or two physical sunscreens and one chemical sunscreen, or it may contain either physical sunscreens or chemical sunscreens. I have noticed that sunscreens are available both in the chemist's shop or in the pharmacies on prescription, and they are also available over the cosmetic counter on Nykaa and Purple and other online cosmetic platforms. Are there any differences between these two? The only difference is that the cosmetic brand sunscreens have a host of ingredients and make a host of claims, while the pharmacy ones, they just claim to be sunscreen and they have therefore a fewer number of ingredients. The skin of the Indian woman is completely different from the skin of women in the Western world, that is white or Caucasian skin. Now, what is it that we as Bharatiya Naris would want from our sunscreens? Number one, it should prevent skin darkening or tanning as we call it. Number two, it should prevent or protect us against photoaging. What is photoaging? Remember that the sun is the number one enemy of the youthfulness of our skin. Exposure to too much sun causes things like fine lines, deeper wrinkles, hyperpigmentation, dryness, leathery skin, complexion, things that none of us want. Now, while I would want that my sunscreen protect me against skin darkening, I'm more concerned whether it can protect me from photoaging. While tanning is immediate but temporary, the signs of photoaging are appear long term, but they are generally reversible. And remember that a skin that is photo aged or sun damaged actually looks 10 to 15 years older than it actually is. Nobody wants that. The other thing is that I want my sunscreen to protect me from skin cancer. Now, while we with our deeper skin tones with larger melanin content are generally protected against most of the skin cancers from skin burning, and therefore most of the skin cancers, there are certain cancers which do affect us, and therefore I would want my sunscreen to protect me against that. Then I want my sunscreen to be absolutely safe for me and for the environment. And lastly are the cosmetic considerations. That is, it should not feel tacky, it should not leave a white cast on the face. And if I want to go vacationing in Goa, it should be water resistant. Now let's talk about how to go about choosing a sunscreen. Remember, the first thing to do is to read the label. I repeat, please take time out to read the label. You must look for the term broad spectrum. That means your or this sunscreen claims to protect against the entire range of ultraviolet rays from the sun. That is, it protects against UVB and UVA. In UVA, it protects against the entire spectrum, that is UVA1 and UVA2 rays. Next, look for the words or the letters PA followed by up to 4 plus signs. What does PA mean? PA basically means protection from UVA. It is a system of quantification of the sunscreen's ability to protect the user from UVA rays. It was developed by the Japanese cosmetic industry. It is actually a derivative of what is known as the PPD factor, or the persistent pigment darkening factor. It is said that if the PPD of a product is 10, it means that the user can stay out in the sun and be protected from UVA rays 10 times more than normal. It sounds too good to be true. Now, if you have a PA, which is a derivative of the PPD, a PA of 3 plus, it means that the PPD is 16. It sounds too good to be true. The only problem is that the US FDA doesn't really recognize this system of calibration of a sunscreen's ability to protect against UVA. Now, there may be many reasons for this. One, because maybe the system isn't that sophisticated, and it hasn't been made as objective as it should. Or it could simply mean that the US FDA is not really bothered with UVA protection. Why? Because sunburn and subsequently occurrence of skin cancer is of greater concern in the Western skins, and that is caused by UVB, which is not quantified by the PA system, and therefore they really don't pay too much attention to it. But for us in India, this is the only system we have to determine the UVA efficacy of a sunscreen. Therefore, look for it. If at this juncture you are wondering why Dr. AiBee has not spoken about SPF yet, I want to tell you that I am really not much interested in the SPF. Usually, we tend to look at the SPF of a product, and the greater the product's SPF, the happier we are to buy it, thinking that it will give us greater protection. But SPF is something I call the misguided missile. Why? SPF or sun protection factor is basically a method of quantification of the sunscreen's ability to protect against UVB rays. Now, all the things that we want from our sunscreens, like protection against immediate skin darkening, protection against photoaging, against the Indian type of skin cancers, all these are caused by UVA rays. And the SPF does not measure the protection the sunscreen is giving against UVA, and therefore I'm really not much interested. Secondly, the calibration of a sunscreen with respect to the SPF is done basically on skins of types 1, 2 and 3. We Indians, Bharatiya Naris, Hamara skin in the Fitzpatrick skin classification, we are generally 4 or 5, and therefore the SPF does not apply to us because it is not tested on skins of Indian women. Next, look at the list of ingredients. If a product does not list its complete set of ingredients, give it a miss. Now, the moment I ask you to look at the list of ingredients, I know you feel a little daunted because, those large chemical names, pronouncing them itself becomes so difficult, and to make sense out of them is even more difficult. But don't worry, Dr. AiBee is here to make it simple, and I'll tell you exactly what it is that you should look for. Look for something called zinc oxide, a physical or mineral sunscreen. This is the chemical with the broadest spectrum available today in the market. It gives UVB protection, it gives UVA1 protection, and it gives you UVA2 protection. It is highly stable and non-irritating to the skin. In fact, it acts like a soothing agent for skin rashes, and it is absolutely safe both for the body as well as for the environment. Next, look for something called titanium dioxide. Now, this is again a physical or mineral sunscreen. It has partial broad spectrum activity, that is, it is very good against UVB and UVA1 protection. It does not have very good UVA2 protection, but then it is very photostable, that is, it does not break down when you go out in the sun. It is very safe for the human body and for the environment. Zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are great, the greatest and the best sunscreen filters that are available, but there are certain issues with these. And the problem is that both of them leave that deathly white cast on the face. But our chemists and the cosmetic industry has found a way around that. They coat both the zinc oxide and the titanium dioxide in nanoparticles. Now, when they are coated in nanoparticles, they do not leave that cast on the skin. There were some concerns about the nanoparticles entering into the body, but that has been laid to rest with multiple research showing that even if they enter the skin, they remain on the upper layers, which get sloughed off, which normally get sloughed off. And secondly, when they do enter into the body, they become solubilized, or they throw off that mantle of the nanoparticle and become simply very, very innocuous zinc ions. So even the European Commission, which is rather strict and which regulates the chemical industry in the cosmetic range for Europe, they have also deemed the zinc oxide and titanium dioxide nanoparticles very, very safe for topical use or for use as sunscreens. But the problem is that companies don't tell us whether the zinc oxide is in nanoparticle form or not. The only way to find out is to use it and then look into the mirror. If a zombie looks back at you, then the nanos are missing. Now we will talk about certain very good chemical sunscreens. And for that, I'm going to need my spectacles. Please forgive the reflection of my ring light in the spectacle glasses. The first chemical sunscreen which I would recommend is the bis-ethyl hexyloxyphenyl methoxyphenyl triazine. My teeth have already broken. Also called TINISORB or bemotrizinol. It has broad spectrum action across both UVA and UVB, very photostable, and is not absorbed in the skin. It has zero environmental impact and no estrogenic activity, but it is not FDA approved because FDA says trials are going on. But it is used in the European Union. It is used in India, and if you talk about chemical sunscreens, it is perhaps the best in the market. The next chemical sunscreen that Dr. AiBee recommends is something called diethylhexyl butamidotriazone. Again, this is partially broad spectrum, that is UVB and UVA2, not UVA1. Its advantage is that it requires very low concentrations to give that protection. Therefore, the amount of chemicals in the product is less, and it is very suitable for water resistant or water repellent formulations. So for Goa sunscreens, try to look for diethylhexyl butamidotriazone. Now, viewers, I'm going to tell you certain chemicals that you must look out for. And if they are present in your sunscreen, give it a miss. And again, I'm going to use my specs for this because there are a lot of chemical names. The first one, diethyl amino hydroxybenzoyl hexyl benzoate. It's also called uvinul A plus. Why we shouldn't use it? Because it has poor environmental safety, especially to the flora and fauna of the seas. Octinoxate, sinoxate, or OMC. Please remember this because there are a lot of products that use this. So please remember it. I'm going to repeat it. It's called octinoxate or sinoxate or OMC. Now this is called uvinul MC80. It can cause photoallergic dermatitis. In plain English, is that if you go out in the sun, then the product breaks down, causes release of those bad boys called free radicals, and they damage your skin, cause allergic manifestations and other types of damage. Now they also say that it can damage DNA. Oh, give it a miss. Octocrylene. Remember this, octocrylene. A lot of sunscreens, good quality sunscreens, contain octocrylene. It can penetrate the skin, causing photosensitization, which we talked before, and it obviously penetrates the skin. It is bad for coral. In fact, the island nation of Palau, I think in the Caribbeans, they have banned it. So why should we use it? Give it a miss. Oxybenzone, again a well-known chemical sunscreen present in a lot of products, not good at all. Why? Because it's said to be absorbed in the skin. Now whether that makes it unsafe or not, we're not very sure because we absorb a lot of things into our body. Now it has very bad environmental safety. It has bad effects on coral and sea life, and Hawaii has banned it. So then why should we use it? Yeah. Next is avobenzone. It is marketed as Parsol. You may have seen it, especially if you're of my age. The only issue is that it is highly labile to light and breaks down easily. The breakdown products may remain in the environment and cause health effects, and otherwise also they may cause health effects. It is known to cause staining when the water is iron rich. So again, a no-no. In fact, certain chemicals are added to make it more stable. You may have heard of this Mexoryl Essex Rich sunscreen. Recently, not recently, many years back, that was the time when Femina was very famous, and I was reading a lot of Femina. There were these ads that said that Mexoryl enriched sunscreen. There's nothing called enrichment. Basically, they were supporting the avobenzone that was used, making sure it didn't break down. So again, avobenzone, give it a miss. Homosalate. Homosalate is a UVB blocker. It's not broad spectrum. So that would, if I mean, I wouldn't have used it otherwise also. I want UVA protection. But there are other issues of homosalates, like it's said to be an endocrine disruptor, skin irritation, allergic effects. No, 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 no. So, no, no homosalate. And by the way, the Dermalogica sunscreen available in India called Prisma Protect, which retails for a whopping 5,100 rupees for 50 ml, contains octocrylene and homosalate. Think about it. I have more. The Dr. Barbara Sturm Mini Sun Drop SPF 50, costing 4,770 for, hold your breath, 10 ml, contains homosalate, avobenzone, octinoxate, octosalate. EU. And then compare them with the very desi Aroma Magic Carrot Sunscreen Lotion UVA/UVB, all natural mineral sunscreen that has zinc oxide and retails for, hold your breath, rupees 104. Think, dear viewers, think and ponder how important it is to read labels and ingredients and not be made fool of by these very, very, very rich. So what is Dr. AiBee's QR for a sunscreen? Well, I will only use a sunscreen that contains zinc oxide in nanoparticle form. If not zinc oxide in a nanoparticle form, then a non-nano zinc oxide sunscreen, or at least a titanium dioxide sunscreen. Why is that? Well, these sunscreens have the maximum or the broadest spectrum of protection available against the entire range of UVB, UVA1 and UVA2 rays. They therefore will protect me against skin darkening, against photoaging, and against the cancers that may occur in my type of skin. Secondly, being in nanoparticle form, they will not leave that funny white cast on my face. They are safe both for me and for the environment. And lastly, I do not need to wear them at least half an hour before going out. Now, why is that? You see, all chemical sunscreens need to be absorbed in the skin before they start acting. And that half an hour that the sunscreen says you must put the sunscreen before going out, that is basically to give it time to get absorbed. For physical sunscreens, no need of such issues because they remain on the surface of the skin. Then I would use a sunscreen which has the minimum number of products. Now, why is that? Because the more the products or chemicals I put on my face, the greater are the chances of them reacting with my skin or with each other, and then finally creating a lot of khichdi on my face, which I do not want. So, are there any sunscreens available in the market that contain only zinc oxide in nanoparticle form as a sunscreen filter? Yes, there are, but a very limited number. The ones that I could find include the Neutrogena Sheared Zinc Dry Touch Sunscreen, the Dermaco Pre-Zinc Matte Sunscreen Gel, the Requil Sheer Zinc Tinted Sunscreen, Mineral Sunscreen. Viewers, you can also try the Earth Rhythm Ultra Defense Hybrid Sun Fluid. I've mentioned it because it contains zinc oxide and a chemical sunscreen, that is TINISORBS, which we just discussed. That's quite okay because it's pretty safe. And what I liked about it was that it is pretty cheap. It retails at 357 rupees. Of course, this is with a 50% discount. I could not find any other sunscreens other than the ones I just mentioned which fit my QR. In fact, not even the pharmacy ones. In fact, the pharmacy ones are the worst offenders. They contain all sorts of nasty chemicals like octocrylines and navobenzones, things you really must avoid like the plague. So, ladies, viewers, that is all about sunscreens for the time being, for your time in the winter sun. Tell me how you liked my video. Whether if you have any suggestions, do leave them in the comment box below. If you have any questions, you must ask them. And if you want me to review a particular sunscreen, do let me know. I would be happy to oblige. So till then, stay safe, stay happy, keep smiling. Bye and namaskar.